What happens when you try to make a phone receiver out of a living cat? Is that a good idea? On this piece of paper, I have some of the wildest ideas I've ever seen, and it's gonna be your job to figure out how they turned out. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
John, did you know that Big Wild Stunts existed before YouTube?
I did know that.
All right, so we're gonna go all the way back to 1896 here, when a guy had a wild idea to get a crowd of people together to watch two locomotives go full speed at each other and crash.
This is like a David Blaine type magic trick, or like
Literally, he brought people to watch a train wreck. So, my question for you, John, is A, did the trains explode, sending shrapnel and steam into the crowd and killing many people?
Ooh.
B, was it a success, and Scott Joplin wrote a ragtime song about it? Or C, was it a disaster, but many railroads continued to stage locomotive collisions in the following years because it was such a PR draw?
Oh gosh, I really want number 2 to be true. Let's go with that. I want there to be a ragtime song about this.
Here's the thing. There was this guy whose last name was Crush. He ran a bunch of different railroad areas, and he gave away tickets to anybody in Texas for just a few dollars, not very expensive, to watch these two trains collide at a new town he called Crush. About 30,000 people showed up, which made it at the time one of the most populous cities in Texas.
This guy does sound like a proto-YouTuber.
He pushed them out to what he thought was a safe distance, and then backed the locomotives up after they touched cow stopper things, whatever those little rails are on the front of the train.
It's a cow pusher.
It's a cow pusher?
Cow pusher.
Cow pusher makes sense. So he backs them up, they start running, and all the engineers and crew jump out of the trains, leaving them with nothing but a train and a bunch of cars filled with railroad ties, so they had some weight behind them. Well, there was an initial collision. Everybody thought that was grand. But then the boilers blew up, sending steam and metal parts into the audience, splitting the skulls of teenagers in trees watching. Got kind of brutal.
Wait, the trees were watching?
The teenagers were hiding in trees watching.
Oh, got it.
Lots of people were injured. A photographer was hit with a piece of metal that, knocked out one of his eyes. It was brutal. The guy was fired. Crush didn't work at the railroad, but it became such a good PR stunt for them, and it actually brought up some good press that they hired him back, and other railroad companies started doing the same thing, just, at a safer distance. And eventually, Scott Joplin wrote a song all about it. So
Yes!
The answer is all of the above.
I was gonna say, I think that's A, that's C, and then B. Okay, we got them all.
The first thing I heard when I saw that was, boilers explode!
That is an explosive idea.
See what you did there? Before we tell you another story, I want to tell you about a wild idea that we had.
Yeah, we tried to make 40 commercials in just 2 weeks. Here's one, check it out.
At FAO Schwartz, we're known for our big piano dance parties, but you can bring the music home with the Giant Dance Mat Piano by FAO Schwartz. This fold-out 5-foot piano boasts 2 full octaves and is battery-powered so you can get right to the music. And with the foot-controlled recorder, you can save your favorite compositions. Get moving with the Giant Dance Mat Piano by FAO Schwartz.
LifeLock is an identity theft protection service. You familiar with it?
Okay, yeah.
The CEO was so confident that it would work, that the service would work and protect people from getting their identity stolen, that he put his own social security number on all of the ads.
That's a horrible idea.
So A, did it work, but he was sent to prison for identity theft? B, he had his identity stolen 13 times? Or C, it was later found out to be a scam, and when people signed up for LifeLock, they got their identity stolen.
I'm gonna say he's in jail.
So in 2007, CEO of LifeLock put out a bunch of ads that went like this.
I'm Todd Davis, and I'm here to prove just how safe your identity can be with LifeLock. That's my real social security number.
Well, apparently if you put your social security number on your advertisements, people are gonna try to steal your identity, and it doesn't seem like LifeLock works because his identity was stolen 13 times. The FTC was so upset that they were just causing all these problems that they sued him. The FTC sued LifeLock for $12 million because their advertisement was just ridiculous.
Misleading?
Yeah, misleading.
But he's not in jail?
I don't think he's in jail. He should be for being a dummy.
Statistics say most people are probably watching this video on their phone, but did you know in 1929 somebody had the bright idea to make a phone out of a living cat?
How could I have possibly predicted you were gonna say cat? Like,
Living cat.
how do you make a phone out of a cat? I'm assuming you're gonna tell me.
I'm gonna tell you, but before we get there, you have to figure out, did it A, work, and someone started making accessories to make telephones out of your own pet cat? B, it didn't work, but it was the impetus of establishing animal cruelty laws? Or C, was it successful, no one used it, but the technology later led to cochlear implants?
Oh, I like C.
So what happened was there was a lot of theories as to how ears worked, and they thought that you could determine if it was high pitch or volume, that it would transfer through electrical signals to your brain. They opened up their skulls, they connected some cabling to the nerves on the back of the ear, and a guy was like, into the cat ear, while another man on the other end with a receiver listened to see what happened. Well, it turns out that as the man's voice went higher, the pitches he heard on the receiver went higher.
Yeah, cat phone.
While people praised them and they won awards for figuring out the science behind the ear, they ultimately didn't do much with it, but that research would later be used to help develop cochlear implants.
Boom!
Yeah, it was the 20s. Nobody really cared if you were splitting open a cat skull to make a phone out of it.
Danny, how much do you know about kite enthusiasts?
I know they're usually children.
I like kites, but definitely not as much as Steve Edekin, who in 1983 had the idea to construct the world's largest flyable kite. So tell me how this worked out. A, did he fall to his death? B, it worked, but he got tangled up in the world's highest telephone pole? Or C, did the size of the kite actually miss the world record by just 2 feet?
I'm gonna say all of the above.
In Washington State in 1983, Steve Edekin tried to build the world's largest kite, and he built one that was 14,000 square feet.
That's bigger than most houses.
So on day one, he's got this kite and he's about to launch it, right? Well, there's no wind.
Need a little wind here.
Can't really fly a kite without any wind. Day two, a gust of wind sweeps through. The kite strings kind of wrap around old Steve Edekin's foot and take him up. The wind and the kite are up in the air. Steve is still attached. He's wrestling the kite, trying to get his foot out of the strings, and he fell to his death.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Clearly kites are for nobody. Let's just write off kites altogether. No
kites. Got it.
kites. Yep. So John, what is more American than baseball?
Apple pie.
Nothing. The answer's nothing, John. Well, back in 1974, the Cleveland Indians thought it would be a bright idea to do 10-cent beer night as a promotion to get people into the games.
I see where this is going.
My question for you, John, is did it A, get so out of hand that both teams united, started a street fight against the fans with baseball bats as the stadium organist played Take Me Out to the Ball Game? B, there were 19 streakers by the end of the night? Or C, fans took over the beer stands and started giving out free beer?
My gut's telling me C is the right answer.
Well, John, in 1974, Cleveland was basically the perfect storm for this event to go bad. So people were going up to the line and getting 6 beers at a time, and by the second inning, the first woman came out and flashed some nudity to the fans. Shortly after, another streaker showed up.
Okay, I see where we're going with this.
He got away with it. Ultimately, things turned south when a fan ran through the field and tried to steal one of the opposing team's, the Texas Rangers, baseball hats, at which point the entire Texas Ranger bench got up onto the field to defend their teammate from someone who's being attacked. They brought baseball bats and a street fight ensued. Now, before this happened though, people were drinking a lot of beer, so much that the teenage girls serving the beer in the beer truck couldn't keep up and just left. And now the guys just picked up the kegs and brought them in to enjoy a whole lot more now free beer.
Oh.
It gets worse. As the brawl continued between the Texas Rangers and the fans, well, the manager of the Cleveland Indians thought the Rangers were gonna die and told his team to grab some bats and go defend the other baseball players. So now rivals are teaming up with weapons against a bunch of angry drunks to the extent that tear gas had to be thrown out by the SWAT team to clear everything out. The game was forfeited to the Rangers. There were 19 streakers by the end of the night, 60,000 beers consumed, and they still don't know where all the bases went.
So all 3 answers were correct.
And I did leave out, yes, technically the organist continued to play Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Yeah.
During the street fight between an actual MLB team, their rival opponents, and the fans of their hometown.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I'm the organist, I'm gonna keep playing.
I imagine it was an old lady who does it, when she's not busy at the churches. She was just up there, I'm gonna keep playing.
10-cent beers, not a good idea.
Hit that subscribe button for more wild ideas, and we'll see you next time.